Hey guys, welcome back to Snake Limited. I'm John, and this is Sandy. And today we have a lot of awesome updates with genetic testing. And we're going to start with this big girl here. Now she's important because she's in the breeding group with my pied het clown male trying to make clown pieds. She was sold to me as a clown posset pied. She's Leopard Firefly, possible OD. I believe she's going to prove out to be OD, but I had never had her genetically tested for the 50% possible het pied until recently. Luckily, the test came back positive. So what that means for me is that the male that I've been breeding her to, that has sired one clutch so far and two more on the way, who is a pastel leopard orange dream, possible yellow belly pied het clown, is being bred to her. So what we can get out of this clutch is actually going to be very exciting. Both parents have pastel. Both parents have leopard. One of them has orange dream for sure, and she possibly has orange dream. So we could be making super pastel, super leopard, super OD clown pieds with this pairing, which is fantastic. She's already 20 millimeters, her follicles. They've had a few locks already, so I'm hoping that by the end of the summer, she's laying eggs for me, and then sometime in the fall, we're getting possibly super orange dream clown pieds. So now let's take a look at some of the other genetic test results we've gotten. Alright, these two little stunners, they're both females, they're ultramel posset pieds. Obviously, I was kind of pretty sure this one was going to turn out to be het pied with the way the markings are on her body there. She had sort of faint tracks on her belly there, and I wasn't sure if she was going to check out or not. But they actually both tested positive for pied. So these are two females that are, I would say, genetically rich for the ultramel pied project. This female is an absolute stunner, and I think she's going to do well for me in whatever project I put her in. You know, maybe at some point when I get into the ultramel clown project, I just immediately take it to the ultramel clown pied project with the genetics she has. She'd be a great stopgap trying to prove out some of what she has going on in her, and obviously she would work out well for the ultramel pied project too. She's pastel, I think orange dream, either orange dream or yellow belly or both. She's very bright. At the very least, she's a pastel OD. But either way, very big cornerstones for the ultra pied project. Getting whatever I can genetically into ultramel is fantastic because it's not a project that I think a lot of people have a huge bunch of genetic diversity in yet, in terms of, you know, the different genes, the codoms, incomplete dominance that people have. So two important cornerstones. They both tested positive for het pied, so they're both ultramel het pied. And you know, it's going to be a long 2 or 3 years to watch these girls grow up, but they're definitely important for me. Alright, last but not least is this little mystery male here. So he came out of a pairing that there was no yellow belly in either parent when I did this pairing. Turns out that the male that I got from Ozzy, who is actually the sire to those two ultramel females we just saw, he had 4 or 5 different clutches this year so far. Some of them, when I was doing the IDs, looked a little bit off, like I was missing something. Well, I think that something was yellow belly. I contacted Ozzy and I verified the pairing records from the sire, from his two parents, and there was actually yellow belly in the mix. Now, the female that I bred to this boy's sire was just sold to me as a pastel yellow belly, but it's a very strange looking, a pastel pied, but it's a kind of a different looking pastel pied. And I don't think she's obviously going to end up being just a pastel pied. As you can see here, this male is very strange. Now, I sent his shed in for testing to Gray Rider Reptiles, to Charlie, and he tested positive for yellow belly. So there's absolutely yellow belly on one side of the pairing for this male. I'm assuming it's going to be from the Aussie side, because Aussie had ID'd yellow belly as a potential gene in there. Now, where this all-white snake comes from, if you can see that little yellow stripe down there, is very reminiscent of ivory. Now, he did not test this snake did not test positive for ivory. So I'm actually wondering if maybe gravel is in the mix, maybe on the mom's side, which would be kind of a very nice, very nice boon for me. Now, I am actually just sent in the dam's shed test to Charlie at Gray Rider Reptiles. He's actually going to retest this snake shed plus the mom shed to test for the other genes he can in the yellow belly complex, because this isn't a normal snake. I have a feeling this has to be a some sort of a highway, whether it's a super pastel, fire, highway leopards, something like that. But this isn't a normal snake. There's something else going on here, which would explain some of the other kind of wacky genetics that I've been seeing in some of the other snakes. But he's completely white. He has just that yellow stripe going down his back, which is very reminiscent of something in the yellow belly complex. There's those little tiny speckles around his spine as well, but everything completely on the sides, white. Both sides white. And then he has like that little, get him up here, a little stronger stripe and maybe a little more pattern there on his neck, a little more color on his neck, but it's still very light. It's almost kind of like that blue hue that you sometimes see in highways or in ivories that have leopard. And as you can see, his head is just white and black. That's it, two-tone there. So what I'm probably expecting to see out of this is that maybe one of the parents, whether it's the Aussie one, the sire that I got from Aussie, or the mother, is going to have something else in it. He can't just be a yellow belly mix. There's no way he's a superfly yellow belly and he came out this white. I find it very hard to believe, and I'm kind of not believing it at this point that would happen. It would be very rare for a snake like this to come out and not be some sort of an allelic combo from the yellow belly complex. So more testing to be done on this, but I have verified that yellow belly is in his pairing, which means for me that it makes my IDs a little easier with the 4 or 5 clutches that I have from the sire, assuming the sire is yellow belly. Again, we're going to test mom within the week or so I'll find out what she has. But I'm assuming it's the sire that's going to have the yellow belly, and the mom's probably going to be the question mark. So very, very cool news. I've at least proved out that there's yellow belly in this male here. He's actually up for sale. He might be gone by the time this video goes up. He's in one of the Ultra Pied groups I have up for sale. But he's very, very exciting. Awesome looking snake. Glad to find out that I wasn't going crazy with some of the genes that I was seeing in some of these other snakes, because I'm pretty positive that I'm IDing a yellow belly in some of these other clutches. This gets me a little closer to being able to verify that and actually change the IDs on these snakes, which is going to mean, I guess, better news for me and better news for some of you. Somebody actually already purchased a pair of these snakes from an earlier clutch, and I think one of the 2 snakes he bought actually has yellow belly in it. So he's getting an extra gene in there that I actually didn't even point out to begin with. It was like a fire, double het pied ultramel, and I was like, that doesn't look like a normal fire. There's something else going on there. And then as I started hatching out more of these snakes, and then I got to this snake, I'm like, wow, this is an ivory maybe? I went to go look back, looked up fire yellow belly, and I was like, yeah, that snake's a fire yellow belly at the very least. And there's another clutch where I've definitely ID'd yellow belly in one of the snakes. So yeah, just because the snakes that you're buying or ID'd is one thing, you need to definitely double check your IDs, make sure there's no other genetics in there, which is important why you need to get like the birthing records and figure out the IDs from the parents that you had, because not everybody IDs a snake properly. I would say a lot of the time the IDs are actually wrong with the incomplete dominant genes. And that's important for you to know, because I go through Morph Market almost every day, and there are IDs on snakes that I know are wrong. And I'm not an expert by any means in IDing snakes. I spend a lot of time looking up my snakes, trying to ID them properly, and I still probably get some of them wrong. but there's some that I know what the IDs are, and I'm looking at them on Morph Market, and I can tell that the IDs are wrong on there. So not everybody is going to be 100% perfect, and even the male that I got from Ozzy may have been missing 1 or 2 genes in the ID. He went from a 4 gene snake to a 6 gene snake, I think, potentially. So I think, when you're looking up snakes and you're going to buy them, make sure you're double checking the IDs in them, because, and it's the reason why no seller fully guarantees the co-dominant or incomplete dominant genes in a snake, and that's because it's almost impossible to ID these sometimes. Like this snake here, I have no idea what's in there. I've never seen a snake like this on Morph Market. Yes, there have been other ivories, but he's an ivory or a highway. He could be super pastel, he could be fire, he could be leopard, he could be orange dream, he could be Enchi as well, because I haven't fully guaranteed that Enchi is in the mix, but he has a very wide eye stripe, so that there's potentially Enchi in there as well. But the snake that Ozzy sold me was also potentially Enchi as well, but I'm still waiting to get a shed test back from another snake to verify that. So always double check your IDs, get the pairing information if you can from the snake you're buying, so that if something crazy pops up once you finally are able to breed the snake, you can look back at the birthing records to see, oh wait, the snake wasn't ID'd as yellow belly, but I got a white snake, and the snake must be yellow belly. Just makes your ID a lot easier. So, yeah, it's crazy. Genetic testing is awesome, though. It does help figure out a lot of these inconsistencies when you're breeding these snakes, and it's not a perfect science in terms of just a visual ID. It just kind of proves the importance of genetic testing when it comes to trying to figure out what genes are in these more complex snakes.